What's up, YouTube? Hello and welcome. It's great to have you here for part 27 of Horizon Zero Dawn. While I explain a little something here, I'd like you to hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment at some point during the video, and follow the links down in the description. So, between part 26 and this broadcast, I looked up when Frozen Wilds exists in the timeline of the game. And what I understand is that the Frozen Wilds DLC exists before you go to the Spire. So we are going to start Frozen Wilds on this episode. So if you were expecting me to go to these camps and talk to people, make preparations, and then go handle the Spire, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer. I have done a little bit of headcanon on this because it might be a bit jarring. And here's essentially what I've come up with, which is that Aloy went to Meridian to tell Avad what's going on. And then all these armies gathered. But it all happened essentially instantaneously. My headcanon on this is that the more realistic way that this would happen is that Avad has to send word to the armies and to the groups and has to actually have a bit of time to get prepared here. And so while he's doing that and while everybody is getting prepared, Aloy is like, hey, I'm going to go up north and check this thing out and I'll be back when things are ready. So that's how we're going to headcanon the way through this and go up and do the Frozen Wilds and then come back. So, we're going to activate the quest. We're going to go to the campfire. And we're doing our thing. I just think it is ridiculous how fast everybody was rallied anyway. It's like just not realistic to have everybody just ready to go. Like you'd have to have people sending the message, getting the message across. People know that Aloy's in on it, understand a little bit of what's going on, have time to set up camp, set up defenses and all this stuff. So Avad's like, hey, give me a couple days to figure this out. Aloy's like, cool, going up north. I got some shit to take care of. I'll be back in time. That's how we're going to handle it. I am excited to see what's up here for us. Now, we're also going to headcanon that my super cool suit that I'm wearing, by virtue of being absolutely amazing from a technological standpoint, possesses heating within it, so I don't need to switch to Banuk gear. I can just wear this. Oh yeah. Look at all this cool blue stuff. I'm excited to see what's up here.
What are you doing, Aloy? This path leads to the cut. The Banuk have nothing to offer besides useless mysticism. The Eclipse won't stand idle while you waste time playing in the snow. Return to your task.
Oh, you're back.
You're still checking up on me. I thought you had moved on.
Well, forgive me for still being concerned with the fate of the world.
I was thinking, Banuk shamans thread blue cables through their skin, right? Kind of like someone else we know, huh? So maybe the real reason you want me to stay clear of the Banuk is to stay clear of your past.
It's not the past that concerns me, Aloy. It's the future. Or possible lack thereof. Which is why you should stop prattling and get back to what matters. But as usual, do as you wish.
Touchy.
Yeah, he's got some personal investment in Aloy not going up here, so I'm a bit intrigued to see what that's all about. I mean, I get that he would have a sense of urgency, but again, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, man, if you're going to rely on me, I've got leverage. I can do my thing. And if there's a consequence to that, it's on me.
This one's a new predator. I can see the heat coming off it.
What is that? Is that a bear? Demonic Scorcher. Oh, I love that it leaves a trail in the water from where you ran. That's cool. Beautiful lighting.
Think of summer sun. Breeze through the trees.
Yeah, mind over matter, Aloy. Oh, look at that. The Aurora. Uh-oh.
Okay, that's a welcome, I guess.
What's up? What up, homie? That was a hell of a horn you blew there, bud. You're gonna cause an avalanche doing that shit. Ooh. Ooh. Hello there, Banuk.
You sure you'll be warm enough up here, Nora?
I've worked up a sweat from the climb.
It's killer music right now. Hello there, Banuk.
You made it to the cut, Outlander.
Not that you'll stay long.
This is Song's Edge, biggest settlement in the cut.
By the way, I would like to just check really quick. Why am I here? Rumors are spreading of strange events at the cut. Banuk lands north of the Grave Horde. Okay. Oh, look at that sky. Oh, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? Oh, baby.
Smoke rising from the mountain. And the village, too. What's it for?
Oh, baby. Are we at, like... Makes me wonder if we're, like, at Yellowstone.
In times like these, we must not forget the importance of ceremony. Orea's been gone a long time, but she will return. I must believe she will return.
I don't know that it's great for us to be here while there's an active volcano, my friends.
I do not think our hunter's blood is in Aratak's hands. He led them to a great challenge. That is all.
Oh, all right. So We just got to remember. Now, we are a person in a foreign land. And I believe that it is important for a person in Aloy's position to understand what that means. It means that we have to assimilate with their general vibe. We don't get to expect that they're going to accommodate us. We're coming into their zone with their customs, their reality, all of this stuff. So if you're Aloy here, you have to be very mindful of that. You don't want to step on any toes. You want to show curiosity. You want to take ownership if you're told that you've done something that's not particularly great. We are in their territory, and we can learn about them, and hopefully we'll be able to like engage with them meaningfully around this. But it's kind of a cool opportunity as long as we don't expect that they're just gonna be like, oh yeah, come on in, you're great. We'll just make sure that we accommodate you. We're not entitled to that. I also don't want to treat them as if like, oh wow, whoa, dude. Like, we gotta play this chill.
A shaman has abandoned us.
They don't exist for my entertainment.
Led our best to their deaths. Where shall we find hope now?
And it's gorgeous. Don't get me wrong. Look at God damn. Look at that. How this game was on PlayStation 4 is just mind-blowing.
Must be something big going on. Most of the village is moving towards that smoke.
How are we to trust the Chieftain after so many died under his command? The smoke from the mountain is...
Get ready for a rare sight, Nora. Bergrand, purveyor of necessities. Most of the time, the Banuk burn their dead, but not today.
Because the bodies couldn't be recovered.
Aye, a nasty business. All their best warriors lost. So they're getting a different kind of send-off.
Grasp your grief, my hunters, and kill it! For our kin sees the fate all Banuk long for. Falling with their spears striking steel. Their struggle is over now. You have witnessed their spirits rise up into the blue sky and beyond to the blue light. But our struggle is only beginning. Soon, we will again take up the hunt against the daemon that frenzies the machines against us. And so I ask you, can you summon the courage of our fallen kin? Will you fight and die as well as they did?
My courage! My spear!
Our blood is in your teeth, Aratak!
We are Banuk. Our enemies. Our prey.
The daemon. That frenzies the machines.
Machines that wiped out their best. And what do they want to do? Go back up there. Fools. A little advice. For free.
Aloy.
Aloy. I've been up here for 2 long winters, and I still can't make sense of the Banuk. Take this ruckus. It started with one of their shamans, Orea, spouting on about spirits and daemons up on Thunder's drum. So they march their Warwick up there, and half of them get slaughtered by machines. When Orea vanished, I thought the crazy might have gone with her, but no. Here's big Aratak, gearing them up to do it all over again.
So if he's been here for 2 years and still doesn't understand the Banuk, as far as I'm concerned, it's because of one of 2 explanations. The first one being the Banuk don't want this guy to understand them. That the Banuk are a homogenous group that are protective of their customs and the lore behind them, and that if an Oseram person shows up and wants to observe them, fine, but we're not going to give you anything. Because it maybe is dangerous to us to do that, or for whatever reason that we don't have any access to, so I don't want to speculate too much further. But that's one potential option. The other potential option is this guy sucks ass at observing people and is just not particularly bright as it relates to understanding the humans that he's come into contact with, and maybe hasn't made enough of an effort to truly get to know them. I'm guessing it's probably more of the former. But it says something that this guy has been here for 2 years and does not understand them. And it does seem like anybody who ever tries to live amongst the Banuk who's not Banuk struggles, because they have a very particular culture and way of orienting themselves to the world. Maybe one that's only easy to participate in if you're born into it and it's all you've ever known. I'm intrigued to learn more about them. I want to know more about this guy. I need more context for this guy.
You said you've lived out here for 2 winters?
Aye. Back home, some fur traders told me about this steel-forsaken heap of tents. Good location. Ripe for change. We were barely scraping by until this place started filling up for Orea. A great prophet is coming, they said. I heard prophet. Honest mistake. Not that the Banuk are stingy, they just prefer to keep trade among themselves. We could get through to enough of them. We could really put this place on the map. Or at least on a map.
And who does that serve? That's got some real, like, we need to civilize the natives vibe. Not everything needs to be a capitalist endeavor. It's a little odd to me that you would go up to an area of people who are mostly minding their own business, and you go up there with the goal of making money, potentially at their expense, shoving some of your customs onto them, trying to penetrate into their space. Like, do the Banuk want that? Are the Banuk open to diplomacy? My sense is that the answer is no, if they like to keep things relatively insular and do things amongst themselves. And again, as far as I'm concerned, if they're not harming anybody and they're not actively declaring war on any of the other tribes, then what are you doing? You're expanding for the sake of expansion? Maybe rather than trying to figure out how to optimize the system you're already embedded in? Doesn't feel great to me. I don't like that. And I don't really know why anybody would like that.
We?
Me and my daughter. My assistant, Varja. My assistant and my daughter. We seem to get along better as business partners. Her mother wanted me to show her a trade. She started tinkering with weapons. Say, when you need a break from this Banuk carry-on, stop in and see her. You're both, how do I put it?
Women?
No. Independent. Look for her at Long Notch, the easternmost Banuk camp.
Okay. There is something here that I want to point out. And it's something that you will only pick up if you pay attention to process and some of the underlying dynamics that the way that he's engaging with Aloy stand on. So Aloy is Nora, he's Oseram. But Aloy walks up to this guy and he connects with her to an extent. Right? He starts talking to her in a way that absolutely suggests that the Banuk are others. He's like, when you're tired of this Banuk bullshit, you can come hang out with me and my Oseram daughter because we're normal people. You know, you'll like us, not these Banuk characters. And there's a real split in there that is present because of that, like, language. That the Banuk in some ways are not animals, but they're weird people to be observed. We don't understand them. They don't have much interest in us understanding them. So we're going to other them. You can hear it if you look and listen for it underneath the way that he's engaging with Aloy. It's us not against the Banuk, but we're in this together as outsiders. And I would be curious to know how much that vibe affects the general intertribal relations that exist in the world that we live in. We haven't gotten too much about, like, the political aspects of how the Banuk are situated within this world. But important to listen for that kind of stuff in conversations sometimes, because you get a sense of the vibe of how, in this case, this guy looks at these people. But you also might get a window into the general societal sentiment toward a certain group of people in the level of comfort that is shown toward a Nora who have been, described as like people from the Savage East. Well, if he's willing to connect with a Nora against the Banuk, it says something. All right.
What is it about the Banuk you can't make sense of?
Well, everything's a test to them. A hardship to endure. A challenge to survive.
Seems like they don't have much of a choice in a place like this.
Yeah. A land cold enough to crack teeth. Filled with wild animals. You think they'd accept a little reasonably priced aid. Don't believe me, I've tried to convince them. But a Banuk with nothing left to prove might just lie down and die.
Oh no, they don't want me to take advantage of their vulnerabilities. They hate that. I wonder why.
Is Aratak a renowned warrior around here?
He's a Chieftain. His voice carries a lot of respect. Not that you hear much of it. Man talks about as much as a dead fish. But when he and Orea came to town with their Warwick, it drew more Banuk to this little burg than I'd ever seen. Know what else I saw, Aloy? My own little trade route, stretching all the way back to the claim. Then, he goes and leads them off to their death at the claws of angry machines. So much for my best customers.
I just want to know what that guy's going to do with all this money that he's going to make off the Banuk. like this guy's willing to sit in this like awful climate for 2 years trying to make a buck. So what? He can go back? It's like, what are you doing? It's just so interesting to me. This guy's literally Mr. Krabs. Yeah, I mean, this guy could have any number of reasons for being here that are outside of just capitalist opportunity. But man, like, exploitation to make money. I'm glad in some ways to hear that the Banuk are pushing back on him.
What are these Warwicks about, Bergrand? Some sort of tribe within the tribe?
Not like our clans back home. You don't get born into these things. They hold tryouts. Prove your best at something and you might get a place. Some Warwicks come and go. Some last as long as metal. The whole Banuk territory, Banur, is just a bunch of the biggest, oldest Warwicks.
I'm not sure if I'm less confused or more confused.
Well, here's the sure thing. Each Warwick has a chieftain and a shaman. They make the decisions. All well and good, except the chieftains are hard-headed, and the shamans have their heads in the clouds.
And Orea is the one who spoke about this daemon?
That's right. Told Aratak and the others that it lives up on Thunder's drum. And they believed her.
But you don't.
Look, I don't know what Orea found up there. A shaman's not going to talk to an outlander. The machines in the cut are getting more vicious, that's a fact. It could be because of the daemon, or it could be because they all got indigestion, for all I know. But Orea's not around to explain. She took off, and no one knows why.
I'm annoyed that our first impressions of these people are being given by somebody who's not of these people. Yeah, it is a it's a powerful force. I mean, we've talked about this a lot, and this is really, I think, maybe a good moment to talk about it again, which is how important first impressions are. When you get your first impression on something from somebody who's not part of the group or the thing that you're getting the first impression on, you are biased. So this othering of the Banuk, this like, well, they're these like weird people to be studied and understood, like that does affect the way that Aloy is going to show up. If she senses a sense of commonality with this guy because they're not from Banur, then she's already coming into certain engagements and perceptions of the Banuk that are biased. So in a lot of ways, yeah, it would be nice if she said, hey, I appreciate you want to talk to me. I'm going to go talk to some of the people around here and get a feel for the vibe from talking to actual Banuk about what are going on and asking questions about what just happened from them, so that she gets it from the first-hand people who actually understand it, as opposed to a guy who observes it with his own biases and perceptions as an Oseram. It's kind of amazing to think about. Like, this does have a very powerful impact on people. If you've never met a person holds a certain type of identity, and you've been immersed, whether by choice or not, into other people talking about that type of identity in a certain way, you really have no choice but to engage with that bias as a way to try to understand those people when you come across them. So it can be potentially dangerous depending on who you run into. I mean, think about it this way. If we had been down in Meridian and nobody really knew much about the Banuk, and there was one dude who told us about it and said, by the way, the Banuk shoot on sight and they are absolute monsters, They are dangerous, they're thieves, they're killers. They do not discern anything when people climb the mountain. Aloy might have heard that horn that guy blew when we walked up the hill as a war horn, and might have even like opened, I don't know that Aloy would do this, but like you would go at least go in defensive, if not offensive. And it immediately biases the way that you show up. So when you have certain people represented in certain ways, that's unfortunately what you're set with, unless you give yourself a chance to counter it by engaging with the actual people that you've been told are a certain way. And it's kind of amazing what happens when you start talking to people that you've never been exposed to, which is that you might develop empathy and actual understanding for them, and then realize how myopic some of the representation you'd seen up until that point was.
Have you ever heard of a man named Silence? Tall, deadly serious, cables in his skin, like a shaman?
Listening in on this conversation right now as I ask about him.
I've heard that name once or twice, but always whispered, like some boogeyman the Banuk want to forget. I'm not sure what went down, but I got the impression he messed with the Conclave, or they messed with him.
Conclave?
All the most important shamans gather in Banur from time to time to keep up with the latest mumbo-jumbo. No idea how they all fit into one tent without those crazy headdresses getting locked up on each other. Orea's been to that shindig, but when I asked her what it's like, she just gave me a dirty look. So if you want to know more, you'll have to find her and make her like you, I guess. Good luck.
I want to know more about this daemon.
It's crazy talk, Aloy.
Or there's something to it. Something connected to how the machines behave.
Then you need to find Orea. She was last seen headed for the mountains they call the Ice Rasps. I've heard only the shamans know the trail beyond those frozen peaks. But I do know where you could find her apprentice, Naltuk. He went north of the river, chasing rumors.
Rumors?
Not the good kind. Sudden attacks in the snow. Strange new structures. Some say a new machine, like no one's seen before.
Well, now I'm definitely interested. Thanks for the talk, Bergrand.
Don't mention it.
I wonder if
Known you
Aratak
has
can tell me
always
more about
belonged
Orea
on
or
Banuk.
Thunder's drum.
And these bandits should realize
worth a shot?
it will again.
Ooh, baby, we got some side quests? You kidding me? Hell yeah. Let's talk to some locals.
Or scrubbing dyes or hunting. What purpose do her paintings serve?
What's up, dude? Banuk champion bow. Ooh. Banuk power shot bow. Banuk striker bow. Need some blue gleam. These are cool. Outfits. Banuk ice hunter master. That's pretty neat. Banuk have cool shit. Banuk gambler's box. Ah, they're into gambling, huh?
So, machines in the south suffer their own sort of corruption. I wonder what sort of challenge they present.
No more frozen Tallneck is perhaps the most distinctive landmark in the country.
You seem sad, stranger. I heard you mention a flood.
Yes. A sudden deluge, without rain or melt to explain it. I'm Aloy, the drummer of Deep Din. Or at least I was, until it disappeared under the waters.
Deep Din. What's that?
A hollow, carved out by the old ones. A chamber, a basin, and a musical instrument all at once. My life, my calling. I'd explain it by playing for you if I could. But its pipes are deep under the water now.
So Deep Din is a place and a musical instrument?
Yes. Pipes that carry a perfect tone beneath a sonorous basin. A wondrous edifice the old ones used to carry music far and wide. During the war, my father played the pipes to rally the Banuk against the Karja. I'm the drummer now. But our battles are few and far between. Mostly I play for the joy of it. Or to remember my family. Of course, if the waters don't recede, what's the point of joy? Or remembering?
Rhetorical question, but one that I suppose is maybe worth a bit of an answer. So, what initially came up for me here, listening to her say that, is I wouldn't call it a dilemma, but it's a position that you don't have to be a therapist to find yourself in when talking to people. So she's like, what's the point of remembering? What's the point of joy if I don't have my musical instruments? And the sentiment that seems to be underneath that is I'm just not going to do anything about it. I'm going to sulk in that. Sulk's maybe not the right word, but like I'm just going to be sad about it, and I'm just not going to play my instrument, and I'm going to be bummed. That is a choice that she makes. And it's one that she does not necessarily need to be talked out of. There's a tendency when we come across people who are experiencing like sadness, maybe even some mild depression, to want them to be happy, to find their energy. Aloy could go into this engagement and say, oh, well, you could find something else, or joy's got to be out there for you somewhere. And if this woman said to Aloy, I want to find joy again, I want to find energy, I want to do things that are outside the scope of what I've been spending my life doing, then at that point, it would make sense for Aloy to perhaps do some problem solving with that, to engage with her and be like, well, what have you thought about doing? What are your options? Maybe you could try this. Maybe we could reframe this. Like, then you could do some of that work. But you don't always have to do that. Sometimes people just need to be bummed out and can live with that decision to not do anything about it. And if a person doesn't indicate to you that they'd like to get out of that space and that they, for all intents and purposes, are okay enough to hold themselves in there by making some decisions you might disagree with, sometimes you got to let it go. It becomes about you if you insert yourself there instead of about the person. And you're going to lose connection with that person if you push too hard for that person to get out of that space if they haven't indicated that they would like to. It's a very interesting position to occupy when you're talking with people, but an important one to have a degree of awareness of if you're ever in it.
So the waters came fast.
One day it was dry. The next, the nearby river had risen and the entire basin was flooded. I don't understand it. There was no rain, not even any clouds, and yet the river rose higher than I'd ever seen it. And there it remains.
That sucks.
A flood without rain. That is strange. Where is this place? I'll have a look if I'm in the area.
Just northwest of here. Look all you like, but I don't see what good it'll do. The floodwaters aren't going anywhere. How does one ask a river to relent?
Great question. We'll check that out.
My favorites are simply jokes.
Talk to Aratak. Yeah, I want to talk to him.
start worrying about what's happening in Thunder's drama.
Love that they call that Thunder's drum.
Child, I dreamed of being chieftain.
Great. It's flat, makes noise like a drum. It's so cool. All right.
I do not want to hear this talk from you again. Doubt is heavier than a week's snow.
Forgive me, my chieftain. We will be ready for the next attempt.
But this will not be an attempt. It must be done. Do you understand?
My chieftain.
Good. Outlander, I suppose you wish to speak?
I do. Now, I will say this. Here is something that Aloy could have done here that might have made this engagement get off to a better start. Which is to go talk to a local and say, hey, if I approach Aratak, is there anything that I should do to show respect or to open him up to the idea of talking to me? Is there anything that would be meaningful for me to do? Is there a phrase that I should say? Is there a bow that I should do? Is there a salute? Like, is there anything that I should do to show him respect for the role that he occupies in your town and in your group? This is what I was talking about when we walked into the camp, is to make observations about these things and to assimilate yourself into the culture. If Aloy comes in here like a battering ram, oozing some sense of entitlement that he should just be willing to talk to her because of who she is, she's already off on the wrong foot. Now, there may not be something. They may say, no, just go talk to him. Or they might say, nah, don't do that. If you want to talk to him, you got to go through X person. And it's Aloy's responsibility to respect that. So if you want to have good faith interactions that are founded on some initial benefit of the doubt and trust, if you go into another space, and this could be even just another family. We don't even have to talk about like broader cultural norms. Like even if there are certain things in certain families around you that have certain norms that are important to them, get to know what those are so that you can navigate that space rather than trying to pull everybody around you to accommodate you. It's a small touch that I think could have made some of the interactions that we've had in the different cultures with different leaders even more impactful. Would be for Aloy to have to do something or talk to somebody to get some perspective on how to engage with the norms of the tribe. Because these groups in this space are so tribal, it would be particularly important to do that. God, where do you even start?
There are other Weraks in Song's Edge too?
Yes. The village has its own life for all Banuk who need trade or shelter. After the war ended, it sprang up from what was once a campsite, quick as the bloom between frosts. Perhaps it will last until the Karja seek war again.
He speaks in metaphors a lot.
Orea knows about this Damon. Where would I talk to her?
She does a shaman's work. That is not for the eyes and ears of others. Certainly not an Outlander's.
Did your Werak come from this place?
No, we rallied most of our hunters from across Banuk to face the threat of the demon. But I was born here and stayed to fight the Karja when others retreated into the mountains. A few of my old warriors remained with me, those who survived.
This Damon you talked about.
If you are hardy enough, you can venture out and see the signs yourself. It has changed the machines, made them fiercer, stronger.
But what is it?
A matter for the shamans to debate.
You're set on going back to the mountain?
I have put my word to it.
Even with the risks being so great?
The risk of what? Death? It would be a worse fate, a bow our heads to the challenge and say too much.
Yeah, okay, so it's kind of fascinating here, and this has got more complexity than could be described in the next 3 minutes. Where's the line between cultural norms and doctrine and the navigation of reality? I was very hard on the Nora early on about how they just say, you know, everything filters back to the All Mother, that we follow this doctrine no matter what the cost. And arguably a lot of Nora died because all they did was sit there and pray. That has real consequences. Like, those narratives have real consequences on the people that are part of the culture that subscribe to it. And the Banuk are no different here. Like, this guy is throwing troops just over and over and over again at this thing, and he's losing people to death because of this whole idea that you are better off dying than backing off of a challenge. I mean, that is not a lot different from the doctrine that it's a doctrine that drives the group. And it's in some ways perhaps to their detriment. When you get into these absolutes and you make a blanket call without taking into account the specific context of this kind of situation, it causes problems. Like, yeah, in general, maybe this works. This is cool if we're talking about like getting your math homework done. But if we're talking about dudes going out and fighting a corrupted machine onslaught that they're just getting decimated over and over again, and the reason they're going out there is because it's a challenge, is that any better than sitting back at the camp and praying to the All-Mother that you don't get attacked and then having the village run down by those machines? No. So this very myopic way of conceptualizing the world across tribes is causing a lot of them problems because it's taking away a degree of research and evaluation of the specific issues they're dealing with. And it is understandable why this exists. This is what humans do. But it's kind of scary because you got people that are like, yeah, let's go. I'll jump in the volcano. I'll go against my own drive to survive because of this thing that I believe. And there are some people that would say it's totally worth it to them to follow that. They're like, nope, yeah, I'm all in, man. Give me the challenge before, give me death before you give me turning my head to a challenge. But there may be some people who don't follow that. And there may be some people that really don't benefit from that kind of perspective on these things.
Well, I guess that's it then.
Good. I prefer deeds to words.
Right.
You don't get to be shitty with him about that, Aloy.
Whatever new machines crawl from that cauldron.
That headdress is so cool.
Others may use the machines, but only we seek to understand them.
That guy's helmet's cool too. Damn. I probably shouldn't go up here. This just seems wrong that I would walk up here like this. But I want to get a feel for the view here. He definitely talked more than a dead fish. Good point. This is why you don't just trust the outsider's view on these things.
Fire, tent, good meal. That's all I need.
This guy's worried about making money. All he's got to do is just walk over to the boxes and camp and take them out of there.
She spends all day up on that scaffold, spreading paint across the stone.
All right. Let's go grab more side quests, and then we'll go out into the world.
When the old ones were fresh in their graves and our numbers were still small, it was she who led us through the frozen wastes. We also remember the ravenous tribe, who delighted in sucking the marrow from our broken bones. Everywhere Banuk and Orea fled, the ravenous tribe were never far behind. Seeking a way to defeat them, Banuk went into the wastes and let the wind whip her cheeks. And when the cold brought sleep, she dreamt of light. She saw it behind the world, a great calming sheet of icy blue. And she saw something new. Herds of machines, each filled with the same blue light. When she woke, she knew which star to follow. She walked for many days and nights until she arrived at a temple built from sparkling ice. At the gates of the temple, she was met by the machines from her dream, who bowed to her as she entered. Inside, Banuk discovered the blue light bubbling from a hole in the snowy earth like a spring. "You bid me come," she said. "My people need aid. Will you provide it?" The machines whispered to Banuk. "We go where the light goes, for we are its chosen vessels. There is darkness in your heart. It cannot hold the light for long. Carry it to your people if you must, but the cost will be great." Banuk waded into the pool. The light reared like a nest of snakes and struck Banuk, piercing her skin, filling her up. Banuk did not scream, though she was in agony. Banuk did not collapse, though her limbs shook. She climbed from the pool and carried the light inside her. She marched toward home, and the machines marched behind her. As she walked, the light struggled to push its way out of her, but the machines were there to aid her. She sewed her body shut with their cables, patched herself with their metal, and kept the light within. When she arrived, the forces of the ravenous tribe had surrounded the camp. Although the light had left her with 1,000 wounds, Banuk charged. And because she held the light, the machines followed. The ravenous tribe killed many, but those in camp rushed to join the battle. They gathered pieces of the fallen machines and from them fashioned weapons. And it was with these that Banuk's people repaid the suffering the ravenous tribe had wrought upon them. When quiet descended, Banuk finally fell. The machines bowed their heads, and Orea wept. The light she'd held within her drifted from her wounds and rose to the sky, and for just a moment, before life left her, Banuk knew the truth of the blue light, and she felt peace. We remember Banuk, the first to crawl from the cave beneath the world, who brought the machines to us. When we speak the name of our tribe, we remember her. And we will not forget.
What a story, Mark.
Colors.
That was cool. Spoken history before written history is a thing, but what's cool is that we know a bit of context for this now. Like, that Banuk person may have been like those kindergartners that came out of the mountain back in Mother's Embrace, or Mother's Heart, or whatever the hell, the mountain that we came from. Like the Banuk tribe is literally named after this person, I'm guessing. And it's sort of fascinating that they're like, oh yeah, you have this blue light and then you can get to know the machines and stuff. And there was like, we were inspired by this person. And so here's where the origin of our customs are, was that you took these machine parts and you wear them and all this stuff. Like that's how this stuff starts. You have a person who survives, or people who survive, and you attach real meaning sometimes to the actual things that facilitated that survival, and sometimes to some of the proximal things that didn't really have an impact on it, but were there when you did it. Like, for example, wearing like the armor of the machines. You're like, oh, we got to do that now because that's how we learned to survive this area. And then as time goes on and generations go on, people follow those traditions, even if they don't know the history, but he's giving us the history of it. How much of that history is true versus how much of it has essentially been telephoned down the generations? No idea, but interesting nonetheless. Especially that people are still willing to sit and watch this guy.
Banukai, when the old ones were fresh in their graves and our numbers were still small. It was she who led us through the frozen wastes. We also remember the ravenous tribe, who delighted in sucking the marrow from our broken bones. Everywhere Banukai and her Werak fled, the ravenous tribe would...
Oh, that's like down there. Okay. Maybe I don't need to go. I'm just curious to see what's up here. What are you guys doing up here?
None of the southern tribes rival the Banuk as hunters, but some are skilled in their own way.
I'm gonna prove my worth to the Banuk by climbing their giant mountain.
Quite a view you've got up here.
It's a useful perspective. How fleeting we are when the world is so wide. From up here, you can see how the light paints across the land. Ever changing. That's a lesson. All our marks will pass.
That outlook sounds a little depressing for a painter.
Haven't met many artists, have you? Song's Edge needs new stories. I scrubbed its past off this rock to start anew. But a new start needs new colors. Fresh pigments. Like none have seen.
Have you always been a painter?
I've always painted. But I wasn't a painter until I was driven out of Banur. Up there, the markings are eternal. They paint over the same lines, the same colors, over and over. As a child, I learned from copying them. As I grew, my heart sank at the familiarity. All of us Banuk might as well be trapped in glacier ice. We have the look of life, but never really moving.
These pigments you want. Where should I look for them?
Salts gather at the edges of geysers and hot pools. Crystals cling to the rocks and cliffs.
The Banuk rock paintings are impressive, but,
You want to know what they mean. That's not the right question, but I'll answer anyway. Some are called to the machines. The sacred shapes you see on metal casings, or on a cauldron door.
Do the machines listen to the call?
I don't know. Others, like mine, are a call to the tribe. You could say inspiration or prophecy. And sometimes even men listen, if the painting is loud enough.
I'll see what I can find for you.
Seek out the vibrant ones. A spring of sudden color among snow or rock or metal. That's its own reward. But I'd reward you as well.
Yeah? Good to know. I'm glad we went up there then.
And our numbers were still small.
All right. Down we go.
Okay, if I want to learn more about how this daemon affects the machines, I've got to find Orea. And to do that, I need to talk to her apprentice, who followed the river north.
But first, we gotta talk to this guy that's super cool over here.
Wait a moment.
Look at that headdress. Holy hell. That guy's got the strongest neck in the whole world.
That weapon of yours, Outlander, that spear. I can see the blue light upon it.
This? It was made by an acquaintance of mine.
Ah, a shaman.
No. More of a tinker?
A tinker does not understand the spark in the metal, the song in the metal like this. But it could be improved upon, modified with the help of the old ones. Far north of here there is a cave, a shaft in the snow. Within it is a nest of metal birds. Find a bird that hasn't been stripped by shamans past. Look for a rail inside it, the length of your spear. That's all I can tell you.
Get a rail from some metal birds in a cave. Sounds perfectly normal.
Thanks for talking to me, shaman. I love all the colors. So cool.
No hunter will want to wear these colors.
I will.
Also, closer to Banuk lands.
This was so disrespectful. So disrespectful that I just did that.
One either strives to be the best or one accepts failure.
Yeah, I'm guessing this is Yellowstone. This is the most disrespectful shit ever. Just jump right into that. Like, oh, you guys use this for... Damn, this area is freaking huge. Holy shit.
Any news from the hunt?
The herd isn't roaming far from the camp.
Keeping together this time.
Then we wait. But I bet we'll see a stray.
All right, I'll keep watch tonight.
I wish they made Aloy die when you did that. What would be more funny would be if you jumped in there and then all the Banuk just like swarm on you. Like in Zelda when you kill a chicken and then all the chickens come after you. Like you jump in there and the Banuk are like, how dare she? And they just come try to like take me out. Game over. Like cops in GTA. I got 3 stars. Oh, there's mountain goats here. Yeah. All right, what kind of interesting stuff's up here?
Outlanders. There, Karja Outlanders. Said it. One of these days.
Whoa.
We've lived under the same sun all this time. Imagine that.
My bones are tired. I've been working too damn hard.
For a better day tomorrow.
I wonder what these guys are doing here.
What brings you Karja so far from your home?
There's good machine hunting in the cut. Danger, too. Some have a taste for both, and they pay people like me well to guide them. We've had a bad run this time, even after I brought this priest along to read the signs.
I did say the sun's light was cast quite red the night of the...
Not your concern, though, Huntress. May your arrows find their mark.
Profits, man. Profits. Capitalism's starting early out here, huh?
Sent spies to free Prince Itaman from...
Capitalism in sport. What a great way to treat the land that other people literally sustain their livelihood off of.
Bergren said Orea's apprentice went north of the river. Hopefully not too far.
Flint Hawk's just flying out there in the distance. I wonder if there's a Tallneck out here.
That must be Niltuk, looking out at that tower. It looks like it's sending out a pulse or signal.
Wait, is there a Tallneck and I didn't see it? Whoa, what is that?
Niltuk?
Who are you? How did you find me?
Bergrand told me you'd be out here.
He's persistent. I've told that Oseram 1,000 times. I don't need to buy anything.
And I'm not selling. I just need to find Orea.
Well, you won't. She's gone where only shamans can tread. She seeks guidance from the voice in the blue light. That is her task. And the task she gave me is to observe the daemon's work. To stop it spreading, if I can. What can I do about these towers? In only a few weeks, they've sprouted throughout the cut. The daemon's energy pulses from them. Rallies the machines, even repairs them.
I swear to God, if the only thing I have to shoot is the red thing on the back of it, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Aratak said this daemon was frenzying machines.
Look there. Those with the purple markings. They belong to the daemon. They're stronger, more dangerous.
I've seen something like this before. A corruption. But it wasn't from your daemon.
You have? Well, then you know more than I do. These towers, were they part of your corruption?
No. Those are new to me too.
Like I said, they empower the daemon's machines. They must be stopped.
Will you tell me where Orea went?
You ask a lot of questions.
Only when I'm not getting the answers I need.
There's but one voice Orea wants to hear right now, and it isn't yours. I'm sorry.
All right, you want to stop the spread of the daemon's work? I know how to get started. With my bow and spear.
Outlander, wait. Won't you tell me your name?
Tell me where Orea is, then. Mr. You ask a lot of questions?
Aloy.
Good. If you fall to the daemon's machines, at least I can properly recount your efforts to Orea.
Thanks for the vote of confidence. But I won't fall. And when I'm done, you're gonna tell me where she is.
Oh, baby. Destroy or override the tower.
I can hear the machines. I might be able to destroy it. Or override it.
Oh, howdy.
So the tower helps nearby machines, but it can be overridden.
So it seems. What'd you think of that, bud?
Seems I can take care of the machines and towers. The daemon's next.
You claimed its power for yourself somehow. Perhaps Orea should meet you after all. What she truly seeks is hope. After what I just saw, you could show her that. She's in retreat beyond those mountains, the ice rasps. You'll have to walk the shaman's path to get there. You'll know you've reached the end when you come to a shrine. A great machine covered in blue gleam. Shamans who complete the path take a piece of it as reward. If you make it that far, you should too. You'll have earned it.
Thanks, bud.
You said something about blue gleam at the end of the shaman's path?
A crystal that builds on the bodies of machines in the oldest ice. We Banuk believe it's the stuff of the blue light, frozen as it escapes their shells. You might be more interested that merchants will trade well for it.
Bergren told me you're Orea's apprentice.
In her absence, I serve the Chieftain and his Werak as an advisor, a scout, a speaker for the blue light.
A lot of responsibilities.
I don't know if I can live up to Orea's example, but I have to try. I owe her that much. She took a chance on me, an aspiring shaman from the edge of the world. No one else would.
In the absence of an enormous amount of information, in the case of these people, Apollo, but just in general, there is something very consistent about all of these tribes. The Nora with the mountain / the Allmother, the Karja with the sun, the Banuk with the blue light. Because they don't possess an objective understanding of like the universe and their existence, they turn to the deification of things that have been associated with their survival, or things that they've arbitrarily decided are part of their survival, or have been consistent, or make sense to them as part of the way that they have navigated the world. And this is what humans do, because we possess a brain that can create these abstract symbols. That's not a bad thing until you have the opportunity to expand and potentially learn more about your environment via observation and science and experimentation. At which point you might gain enough of an understanding that no longer do these like abstract things carry the enormous amount of weight that they do. The thing that is happening here is that the Karja, for example, used everybody's belief in the sun as the great power and force to begin the oppression of other people and the creation of power by essentially saying that the king speaks on behalf of the sun, or that the sun speaks through the king. In some ways, we're seeing it with the Banuk here, where shamans have possession of the blue light via crystals and thus are more important than the other people around them. The Nora believe that the people who have access to the mountain are more powerful because they hear from the Allmother. So as soon as you start turning these abstractions into means of garnering power and creating hierarchies, then what you start to see sometimes is a desire to not have people learn more about the world, because the more that you adhere to that story, the more you can hold power if you're the people that have used it in order to have power. So the religion or the spirituality around that thing becomes the thing that you want to protect, not because you even have to believe in it anymore, but because it's the thing that cultivates your survival and access to power and resources. So I'm only pointing this out because it's really interesting how every context we've come across, we've seen this happen. And you have to look at who benefits from these things versus who doesn't, who gets pushed in certain directions because of it versus who pulls in certain directions because of it. And you get a lot more information about people, and then you start to realize who it's going to be harder to help understand. Like if we look at that blue light as less of like a spiritual thing, and we learn more that it's really just the fuel that makes the machines go, and that it actually, from a physics standpoint, is what controls these things and doesn't make you special to hold it so much as you're just a person that found it, that breaks down the hierarchical construction of the Banuk. And then you often have problems because people don't like losing power.
Were you with Orea when they attacked the mountain?
I wish I had been, even with all that happened. I'm no warrior, though, so she bid me wait. When Orea and the Chieftain returned, I saw them argue bitterly. I don't know what about exactly. Then she came to me, gave me my task, and left us.
How do I cross this shaman's path?
Go to the ice rasps. Then follow the markers through the ice caves and the waterfalls, and make the climb to the shrine. But be careful. The path is meant to be an ordeal, the final trial of a young shaman's training.
And I'll find Orea at the end of it?
No. She goes further up, somewhere inside the mountain. If you see her, would you tell her, I have faith she will hear the voice again.
They look at Tallneck.
I'm off to the ice rasps to find this shaman's path.
As we make our way to the Tallneck that I absolutely saw the first time.
What did it take to knock one of those over? They're built to last.
Whoa! Thanks for being here, friends. Appreciate you taking time. God, Grimhawks are the worst.
Encased in ice. That's the last of the scavengers. Should scan the Tallneck. See how deep the damage goes. It looks like the scavengers ripped out 3 major parts. If I could bring them back, maybe I could even reactivate it. Get at what's inside its head.
Yeah, I want to do that. That seems super useful. So let's go do that. Hey, Watcher, what's up, buddy? Good thing they're scattered very close to where it is. Climb, Aloy, climb. Oh, what's up, guys? Oh my god. At least lighting them on fire. does something. Wow, that's not it. Gotta go higher. Can you take me home? Keep singing that. Number 3. There it is. Maybe up there. Glint Hawk ate it.
This Tallneck part's still in one piece.
Neat. Convenient. Excellent. Good news. Let's go get those other parts. And I gotta go down.
Easy, easy.
Whoa, buddy. Okay, down we go. Howdy ho! What's up, buddy? Whoa! Andale! En garde! You're on fire, Aloy. It'll pass.
One of the Tallneck's parts. It's heavy.
Ooh, give me some blue gleam. Ooh. Hell yeah. I'm gonna get me a Banuk bow.
All right.
Another tower over here somewhere, I reckon. Beep, 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 beep. Up. Hell yeah.
Tallnecks are built tough.
Let's go. Glad we didn't have to go that far. All right, just got to install these parts.
Well, that fits. Sure hope it works.
Glad that all the areas are exposed.
Well, it's in better shape than it was. Okay, I'm right. We just need to get the power flowing through it again.
Let's go!
At least no one's watching.
If it breaks out of this ice, that's gonna be so badass.
That should wake you up.
Oh, yeah!
Easy.
Let's go. B5. Oh, bum.
Right, it's never easy.
Oh, yeah. Rise from your grave. Oh, look at that.
I need to climb that Tallneck again.
Yeah, destroy those trees. Go, Aloy, go. Haul ass. Haul ass, sister. You can get there.
I should be able to jump onto the Tallneck from here.
Well. All right, let's get to that one. Go, 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 go. Go. And here. Woo!
All right. Now I just have to reach its head.
Yes, let there be light. Baby, baby. All right, let's go hit up that lake, huh? Look at that. Oh, that's nice. It's crisp. Ooh, what is this? Monitoring supercell formation. Orbit 8 F1 initiated cycle 68208. Routing query sent. Routing received from G Prime. Supercell formation overhead. Electrical impact, electrical impact, electrical impact. Surge damage assessment. Locomotion systems compromised. Gyroscopic systems compromised. Processing system compromised. Status report sent. Instruction received from G Prime. G Prime's available! G Prime's talking to this thing. That means Gaia's up. Holy shit. I don't know if it was from when it... Well, actually, I guess I didn't check if it was when it crashed, but like... I guess it doesn't have a date on it. Well, I don't know. We don't know dates. I don't know. This is super interesting. That'd be really cool if it means that Gaia Prime's still up. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. We'll find out. Don't spoil it in the comments. But if that's its initial log, or if like that's the log of what just happened, that would be wild. Frozen wild. Ba-da-ling, ba-ling, ba-da-ling, doo-dee-dee, Going to the lake. Another scorcher?
That's the ruin Aloy was talking
Oh.
about. Deep in. Flooded through connection.
Got gators out here, eh? Oh, howdy. Wow, there's a lot of you.
Probably came from somewhere upriver. Follow the river, find its source. Seems simple enough.
Woo! Ooh. Gimme, gimme, gimme. Return to Singapore. As the waters recede, the people return. Singapore, May 5th, 2043. Cinco de Mayo. A large pink-tinted rock marks the summit of Bukit Timah Hill, Singapore's highest point, at one time 164 meters above sea level. Charmaine Lowe records a self-hollow next to the rock, her bright smile contradicted by nervous fidgeting with her prismatic fake nails and 30s-style subdermal jewelry. I thought I'd never see this place again. I still can't believe it's real, she marvels. Proud Bukit Timah has stood firm against the time and weather, but the rest of Singapore has fared less well. With approximately a third of the island nation at less than 5 meters above sea level, Singaporeans like Charmaine and Brian Meister were forced to abandon their homes as inexorable waters leached away their foundations throughout the snoring 20s. Now the surviving members of Charmaine's family are returning alongside many others. As global temperatures and sea levels stabilize, people come by air or by water. Some seek refuge from the deleterious effects of the Sitaram River tragedy, whose costs still reverberate today. All hope to build new lives atop the collapse of the once stable and prosperous country. Singapore represents one of many states abandoned by their citizens in the aftermath of heavy coastal flooding. Questions surrounding ownership are difficult to answer. Government and law enforcement personnel fled far in advance of the country's devastation, because of course they did, and documentation of title is scattered at best. The plot of land on which Charmaine's childhood home once sat had belonged to the Lowe family for almost a data corrupted. Deadpool, thanks for the 34 months. I hate that for the Singaporeans. Yeah, I'd love a snoring 20s for sure.
These mountains must be the ice rasps. The shaman's path begins somewhere up above.
That's not what I'm trying to do, though. Follow the river upstream. This is so beautiful. Holy crap.
I could forget what warmth feels like out here.
No shit. This is how I felt going back to Chicago after I lived in Vegas for a year.
There. That must be where the water's coming came from. Looks like something the old ones built.
What have we here? Animal figurine.
A little figure of some strange animal.
Depicts a lithe, predatory animal. Inscribed 2 of 7 in a commemorative set. 2042 Montana Recreations. Trade at Hollow Hall for valuable rewards. All right, so we're in Montana. Montana. Never been there. Always wanted to go. Hear great things.
Well, somebody wanted in. Nearly blew this entire ledge off just to get through the door.
And we're like a dam. Enter the gray catch.
Flooding detected. Evacuation recommended. Overflow basin compromised.
The overflow basin. Is that the din?
Great question, Aloy. Perhaps it shall be answered soon. So I'm surprised that this area is still insulated enough that this plant life would be growing like this.
Looks like a control center. What happened in here to start the water flowing?
Aloy and I would get along so well because we ask ourselves rhetorical questions all the time. It's fantastic. All right, here we go. What the hell's going on over there?
There's our troublemaker. Doesn't seem to be as good at getting out as he is at getting
How
in.
do you want to start this farewell thingy? We might be the last Saskatchewan people to ever see this place. Yeah. Hence, you know, so.
Message text. Oh, we got more of these. Dear nobody. As far as I can tell, that's who's gonna read this. Those spooky guys showed up today with that creep Blevins to take measurements of our workstations, and next week they start installing Pharaoh servitors to do our jobs. Bye-bye, Shelly. Bye-bye, Laura. See you never. Hope you enjoy basic income. God, it's gonna be weird to say goodbye to this place. When Quentin and I split, this was all I had. Thank God for a job where I could sit at a panel and press buttons and cry all day. Which I think is why we're doing this. Hiding the tapes of our rehearsals in the dam. These tapes are our memories, our ghosts. Through them, we get to haunt this place, keep it human in some small way. This control room was where I was sitting when Laura came in dragging an old practice amp and guitar behind her. Shells, she said. Girl, I was so looking at schematics for this place and I found the perfect practice space. The acoustics in this place, seriously bonkers, like echoing through the entire valley kinds of bonkers. Legit, you're gonna soil yourself when you see it. I remember asking, practice space? Peace. Shelly. Drainage system offline. Intake power malfunction.
Intake tower malfunction. Drainage system offline. That's probably not good news. Looks like most of the facility is underwater. How did this happen? The lock positions. Helpful.
Yes, but unfortunately, one's missing. Take a look out the window here and see what we're working with.
Quarters. No way I'd be able to swim.
He's got some real Last of Us vibes right now.
That Oseram must have forced his way through.
Yeah, how is this a profitable endeavor? That, my friends, is a generalization I just made about this Oseram based on the way that they've been represented me up until this point. We have no idea why this guy is here, and I am less likely to give him the benefit of the doubt because of all the Oseram that I've come across, which is something all of us need to be very mindful about, the ways that how things are represented affect the way that we walk into situations where we don't actually have any information. And I am walking in here with an assumption and a bias toward this guy because of the way that we've seen Oseram represented. And I like to highlight that because I just caught myself doing it. It's not about not ever doing it. It's about catching yourself when you do. We know nothing about this guy. And so we need to act like, we need to actually engage with the fact that we know nothing about this guy. And if when you heard this guy yelling and we were walking down these stairs before I said anything, if you yourself were in a position where you're like, oh God, this Oseram was probably up to no good, you got to own that shit because you don't know. That is the power of representation, where we make blanket generalizations about people that we assume have the same identity. Aloy's doing it too. She's kind of like, oh God, there's that troublemaking Oseram. And it's all because of how things have been shown to us, and it's because we got the quest from a Banuk. And so we come in with a bunch of assumptions that potentially can cause problems. It's hard to come into a moment like that and catch that stuff. But it's so important.
Unless you're not one of those snack moths I saw outside, are you?
Are you all right?
You don't know how happy you just made me. For a moment, I thought my fire was snuffed. My forge gone cold. But nope, nope. Not old Gildan.
You're welcome. Wait. Start from the beginning. What are you doing down here?
Ow! My apologies. When you mostly talk to yourself, you can tell your stories in whatever order you like. There's an artifact in that storage room I simply must acquire. But as you may have noticed, the door won't budge. I took one of those roundish, ringy what's-its from the wall beside the door. No luck. So I had to go with that panel with the button. Even less luck. My gentle experimentation caused the chamber to flood a little. So I pushed the button again, perhaps a little too enthusiastically. Sparks and smoke. Now, obviously, I came here to investigate. My cautious footsteps may have contributed slightly to the collapse of a bridge. And when the bridge began to collapse, I may have, for the sake of expedience, abandoned the cumbersome ringy what's-it to the waves. By the time I thought to give up the endeavor, the door had closed behind me. And thusly do we come to the present moment.
We know nothing about this guy, but we can start to make some hypotheses about him in the way that he presents himself. His way of presenting himself to Aloy, somebody he doesn't know, means that he's gonna operate on two core principles. And this is something that we all do when we engage in a novel interaction, which is why I want to take a second to talk about this. He's quite gregarious and lively, jokey, charismatic, diminishing of some of the more harsh aspects of what it is that he did and the consequences thereof. He's operating on two things. One is his generalizations about the Nora, what they're capable of, who they are, if he's had any exposure to them at all, or what he's learned. And if it's nothing, that's actually probably better for Aloy than if he thinks he knows something about her. And the second is projection. When we don't know anything about the people around us, we often have a tendency to get in our own heads and assume that that person knows things about us or is making assumptions about us that we ourselves are insecure about. And as a result of that, people will engage with that person in a way that they've grown accustomed to surviving those engagements with throughout their lifespan. So something tells me that this guy is aware that he messed up. He may still be holding strong onto the fact that he wants this artifact, but he's employing a strategy interactionally in order to diminish the impact of what it is that he's done, and also probably to save face from whatever shame he might have from getting locked behind the door and not knowing how to tinker his way through this. Something that the Oseram tend to be quite good at and value. So we get a little insight into this guy and his general internal world by looking at the way that he interacts with a blank slate and how he initially engages in a novel experience where he has some culpability for the very impetus of that conversation. Not anything necessarily that you have to do different if you're in this engagement, but it's something where if you're in Aloy's position, taking a second to observe and let him talk gives you that window to have a sense of what you're working with. So Aloy can make a better decision about how she wants to interact with him going forward here. Does she want to pummel him for being an idiot and opening the valves and flooding the valley for somebody that she's probably only deemed as more important because she came across her first? Or does she use this as an opportunity to learn more about what this guy was after and maybe try to calm him down and show that she doesn't really care much about how insecure he is about what's going on, but rather that she's here to help and wants to gather more information about the space that she's in? And the way that you handle that differs and is also founded upon what he's giving you and not getting into your own head about it and instead taking what he gives you.
You said something...
So we start with the artifact.
Indeed. That storage room is brimming with treasures from the old ones, but one in particular caught my eye. An intricate looking glass. I've only seen one such device before. My old mom brought one back for me from wherever she'd gone to that time. I remember holding it, staring into its face, seeing myself and my mother just over my shoulder, smiling.
And one of these looking glasses. It's in the storage room.
Oh, yes. I'm quite sure. I peered into that dim little chamber, and there it was.
Now, I do want to point something out here, because I love that these games sometimes provide us with the opportunity to check ourselves as we play them. In line with the point that I was just making, ask yourself if this is a person that you like right now. And if the answer is yes, and you find yourself giving him a bit of the benefit of the doubt, you find yourself intrigued by his conversation about the artifact, it means that he has done his job. He survived this situation emotionally more than physically with charisma, with gregariousness. it gets him out of a situation where the entire point of Aloy being here was because he's flooding the valley and destroying stuff that the Banuk hold dear. And now all of a sudden he's got us hooked because he's jovial and because he knows how to lighten the mood and he gives us a personal story and he's very engaging. Charisma goes a really long way for getting people out of sticky situations. So this is the case in point. Not that Aloy has to be a dick to him. I'm not suggesting that. But if you've got this, you'll find that you can reel people in. Or conversely, you can be reeled in by this. I'm not saying he's a bad dude. It's just an important moment to kind of check on, like, where are you at with this guy? Because we don't know anything about him, but his presentation certainly makes it so that we're less likely to be like, dude, this stuff is not as important as the fact that you just opened this building up and are causing problems. Maybe we go, ooh, treasure, that sounds kind of cool, and you've got a personal connection to it, and I feel good when I'm around you, and things are lighthearted. Maybe this isn't as big of a deal. Susceptibility to charisma is an important thing to understand. Again, doesn't mean it's bad. It's just kind of a cool moment to really reflect on this.
I've wanted to find one for so long. Yes, this time I'm sure I have.
Well, there's no way we're getting into that storage room without another ring. It's part of the locking mechanism that controls the door.
You don't say. Well, that's fantastic news. Marvelous, even. You've got two hands. I've got two hands. Perfect. My savior, my salvation, and if you like, why wouldn't you? Of course you will. My accomplice. Together, that ring is as good as ours, and with it, the storage room and its spoils.
Didn't you say you dropped the ring in the water?
Well, I'll grant you that adds a heretofore undiscussed level of complexity to the proceedings.
Sure hope so. Yeah, I hope you can find this thing.
So you found the button that controls the flow of water.
Quite by accident.
And then you broke that button.
Also, quite by accident.
The panel's the only way to shut this place down, as far as I can tell. This isn't gonna be easy.
That storage room is filled, top to bottom. Would you be surprised to find the parts you need in there? I certainly wouldn't be.
So, we need to replace that ring and get into the storage room. Then I can fix the panel and shut this place down.
And I can finally wrap my fingers around that looking glass.
Okay, Gildan. How are we gonna get that ring?
2 sets of hands, girl. 2 sets of hands. Behind us lie a pair of enormous gates, but I believe the gates must be operated in tandem. Together, we can dry this place out.
Guess we better get started then.
I guess we better.
I always find it kind of interesting from like a game design standpoint. You ever notice how sometimes in DLC, developers will make characters that are even more like caricaturized and interesting? That has absolutely been the case so far with this. Like, some of the people we've come across have been quite memorable and unique, and I think that's kind of cool. It's engaging. Be cool if my focus could see the thing down there. This water is moving.
Up ahead, girl. See the valve? Time to put our hands to use. I'll take care of this one. There's another valve on the other side to lock the gate in place. Would you mind heading across and doing the honors?
Been here before. Just give me a second, because I got a long-ass way to go, bud.
You know, I'm reminded of a delve I undertook out near the plains. Stone ruin, cloud tall, and lake wire. That's some 13 levels on my monstrosity, but no wall. Just straight stone columns bearing the weight of the level above. Filled out with row upon row of those enormous busted-out old-world carts. You know the ones with their 4 wheels?
Tub of stagnant water. Charming.
I love that he's just talking to himself.
You made it! Now grab that valve and give it a spin.
On it.
A little more now, and I should be able to get the blasted gate moving.
There. You should be able to lower the gate.
Right you are! Now, when I get this gate down, you'll need to turn the valve again. Ought to lock this thing in place.
One gate down.
Halfway through then, aren't we? To the second gate!
I don't know if you've discussed this, but how do you feel about so many people call Aloy girl? That is a question you would have to ask Aloy. Because if Aloy isn't bothered by it, I don't think it's a big deal. If it bothers Aloy, then I think there's something there. The reality is, I think this is one of those things where you have to really take into account context and some nuance. Are there some people that call Aloy as girl as a power play and to assert their dominance and like social status and to continue to remind her to some extent that she's like an object or she's like a savage or whatever? Sure. Are there some people that call her girl because that's just a main part of identity that they have culturally used to identify each other in the same way that a person might say, "What's up, man?" That also can be true. So I think context really matters here, and you'd have to ask Aloy her experience of that. If Aloy was to say to him, "Don't call me girl," and he continued to do it, it says something about the power that he wields, or maybe even some of the ingrained just autopilot there. But Aloy doesn't say that. Aloy just kind of goes with it. It could be that she hears it as a term of endearment. It could be something that just doesn't bother her. So the subjective experience of that is more important than trying to make some sort of blanket claim on it.
A ladder is a rare and special thing, girl. Can depend on it to take you exactly where you need to go and no further.
I do think it's one of those types of things where you can ask yourself, what's the intention behind it? And is that something that I can kind of understand?
How are we gonna get up there?
Let me look around, see what I can find.
I feel like Aloy would push back on it. She hasn't. She hasn't said anything to him about it. If it did bother her, then yeah, sure. I mean, she speaks up for herself quite frequently, so.
Looks like I could jump across on that rickety resting platform. There's no gap.
Oh my god. Oh god, okay, good. I can't make that jump. Oh boy. Can I make that jump? I guess we're gonna try. Oh my god.
Nice jump. Nice. What am I saying? That was stupendous. Never seen such absolute disregard for personal safety.
Thanks, I think.
Yeah, this is not an OSHA-approved facility anymore, buddy. Oh, man. Whoa. Damn family.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4! Caught sellouts and runaway cowards! We see her! Cut it. I forgot the words. Shells, we started off so strong and then it all just imploded. Well, that's sort of my MO. No. No heavy stuff. Switching gears. Band-aid! We need one.
Dear Nobody, when I took this job, we had to watch this training holo, and I remember probably 2% of the actual holo. At some point, the holo welcomed me to the damn family, and I felt like, A, that was such a missed opportunity because they could have called it a damly, and chose not to, and B, the idea that I would ever think of any of my coworkers as family was pretty ridiculous. But then, one day, I looked up, and automation had whittled 6 people down to just Laura and I was signing papers to dissolve the family I thought I had. And suddenly, my last coworker, with her faded tattoos and perpetually arched eyebrows, was telling me jokes, and making me listen to bands I'd never heard of, and cheering me up when I cried. Things were really good when it was just the two of us. We used to have these theme days. One time, the sluice gates were open, and we set up we set up beach blankets on one of the catwalks in the intake tower and batted around this inflatable beach ball I had in my apartment for some reason. Laura messed around with the emergency PA and patched in a bunch of classical surf rock songs. We even put sunscreen on the bridges of our noses. Laura called it the Concrete Beach Party. When Laura brought up band names, I knew pretty much right away that would be our name, Concrete Beach Party. It's pretty good. There was never really any other choice. It's a great band name. Yeah, be wary of any company that tries to tell you your family.
Oh, you're close, girl. Just spring across the gap.
Yep, yeah, nice and easy. Yeah, you saw me do that crazy, amazing thing, and now you just assume I can always do it. It's all right, I can.
Ah, you're right above me. Just send that ladder on down.
Look out below.
Now, we've done this once before. Should be as easy as falling down a hole. If you take the valve on the other side.
Let's set up the same way on this side. I should look for an access tunnel.
This is my sort of delve. 1,000 little problems to solve. 1,000,000 minute and invisible factors. My father used to say to me, Gildan, he called me Gildan. Gildan, he used to say, don't make the delve harder than it needs to be. The best delves are done, and half the time it takes a campfire to sputter out. Now, my father was a great man, but dead wrong when it came to choosing a rubric by which to judge delve quality. To find yourself stuck, then unstuck. To fail, then to succeed. To get lost, and to find yourself. That's what makes a delve.
Uh-huh, Gildan.
Okay, so I actually kind of like that. I love that he's willing to just disclose all of this. In a lot of ways, so self-disclosure is the pathway to intimacy. So the fact that he's disclosing all of this, it's inherently going to bring us closer to him, which is kind of cool. There is real value to what Gildan's father taught him. And it's a skill that I worry a lot of children are not as exposed to anymore. It kind of shows when they're like teenagers and young adults, which is when you are presented with a problem that doesn't have an obvious answer, what do you do? With the advent of so much information at our fingertips, generally the idea is like, go look it up. Somebody out there already knows the answer and you can get it from them. But there is real utility in figuring it out. And when you're presented with an issue that's immediately at hand, I don't know, maybe you have some thing in your room that like falls apart, or you have to figure out how to get a signal from a game console to a TV that's across the room, or some somewhat complex task in your everyday life, that there's like that causes distress for people when they don't immediately know what to do, understandably so. But there is real value in saying to yourself in response to that, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna lean into that distress for a second, and I'm going to work my way through the problem. I might look up a couple things, but like I'm going to really push myself to either figure it out or create a solution or just get creative with it. It's the whole idea of like if you hand a kid a bag of Legos and you give them an instruction booklet, that's cool. Right? It tells you what to build, you do it, you build it. It's cool that you built the thing. You feel a sense of accomplishment that you were able to execute the plans. Or you hand a kid a bag of Legos and say, hey, this is supposed to be a submarine, but we don't have the instruction booklet. And then as a kid, you figure out how to build a submarine, or you build something different or whatever. Like, I have this problem and I have my own pathway to solving it and creating it. And maybe you give that same bag of Lego to 5 kids and tell them build a submarine, and you get 5 different submarines, but all of them work. There is real utility to that skill of looking at problems as opportunities to solve them and to get creative and to push your way through and figure it out. And unfortunately, with so much availability of information and a general desire to avoid the anxiety and frustration that can come along with that, you will often see information and adults bail everybody out of that discomfort. And I really think there's a difference between people who look at issues as an opportunity to solve versus people who look at problems and then freak out and wait for somebody else to do it, or wait until they can ask the right person how to fix it. And I'm not talking about like dangerous shit like your electrical system in your house is messed up. Like, don't do your own electrician work or plumbing work. But there is utility to solving some of the many problems rather than just throwing your hands up. How do you train yourself not to overshare, over self-disclose? When you're presented with an opportunity to disclose, keep your mouth shut. Like, ask yourself what you'd like to do alternatively. Nobody's forcing you to talk.
Okay, Gildan, turn the valve.
It's not working! Damn thing's too heavy. Glance behind me, would you? See anything big and, broken?
Let's see. Oh god! Oh man! Oh boy! That was I guess it would be this.
Looks like part of the counterweight broke off. If I can get up there, my weight might be enough to get it moving again. Hang on, okay? I've got a plan.
Oh my god.
I need to get up higher. Could climb up that wreckage. That's pretty much what I do now.
This is so stupid. Holy shit. Is talking to yourself a sign of intelligence or something else entirely? Just means you're talking to yourself. I don't think it's really indicative of anything. Depends on the person.
Can't jump straight to the counterweight from here. But I could climb higher, get above it.
Some people just do that as a means to process what's going on, but not a sign of intelligence. Oh my god, we're really gonna rappel from this? Holy shit.
The drop's too far!
Going down.
Wow, all we needed was Aloy to get on top of that? How heavy is this suit I'm wearing?
Got it. We're good to go.
You were a sight to see. Bounding from metal rust trap to metal rust trap. Still a bit of water, but low enough, wouldn't you say? Now then, where's that ring?
Good question. Well, at least I should be able to swim, no?
Snap maw! It's a snap maw! Very, very big snap maw!
I see it, Gildan.
Very big, very, very big!
Just stay out of the way.
Is it dead? Just tell me when it's dead, would you?
It's dead.
Marvelous. So, the ring. Maybe if you pry its jaws open and reach inside, I can't look.
We make a good team, Gildan.
You were right. This thing did swallow the ring.
That's the old Gildan intuition in action. It's never led me astray. Sure, its chosen routes can be a bit circuitous, but never mind. To the storage room. To the spoils.
He is well written. I will give him that.
What's in here? More old world treasures, perhaps? This place is full of surprises. Should we have a look?
Didn't you want to get into the storage room?
I do. Fervently. But, well, I got time to poke my nose in if you did.
Limited edition merch.
Okay, Shells, we're not focusing on that right now. Recording, okay? We're not even in the band meeting. Sort of counts as practice, right? Merch. We need merch. Stickers! You're not a real band until someone vandalizes government property with your sticker.
Colleagues, I have been asked to remind you that conversations determined to be irrelevant to servitor training are discouraged.
What were you saying about vandalizing government property?
Yikes. Dear Nobody, we spent an hour plastering our stickers all over that servitor. Well, I say stickers, they were sticky notes from my desk. We stole the presentation and design of other band logos, drawing little skulls and lightning bolts and broken hearts around the name. It's not like we had any actual work to do. When this began, we were told we'd be on-site advisors, going through the motions of our duties so the servitors could mimic our actions. But the government creeps, corporate creeps? Same diff, I guess, mostly ignore us or yell at us for getting in their way. The Robo-Scab's weird oval head kept swiveling toward us, and it kept asking, "Hello, is this relevant to my training?" as we tried to duck out its line of sight, ruining its chrome finish with sticky notes and shushing each other's giggles. Afterward, Laura stood in front of the thing and goes, "Servitor, this is very important. This is how you greet Blevins, okay? It's a sign of immense respect." I mean, will the servitor actually give Blevins the finger? Probably not, right? But a girl can dream. Screw the man. Shelly. Hell yeah, Shelly. Ooh, there's treasures in that door, Gildan. Ooh, we're gonna find out what's in there at part 28. Friends, thank you so much for braving the frozen wilds with me. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day or night to watch this playthrough. I hope that you are not too disappointed by going to the frozen wilds instead of going to the Spire. But it has been a lot of fun to come out here. I'm looking forward to more episodes of this. It elongates the playthrough, which is great. So it's been a lot of fun. I hope that my thoughts as we go through all of this are meaningful in some way, and that maybe you feel like you learned something. Leave a like, leave a comment, follow the links in the description, subscribe to the channel, all that fun stuff. If you're binging, see you in the next episode. If you're waiting for the next one to come out, we'll get it out as soon as we can. As always, I appreciate you immensely. I'll see you in the next one.